here we are. This is Sex, Love, Psychedelics, and I'm your host, Dr. Kat. Bringing you psychosexual conversations that will leave you intellectually turned on and hungry for more.
Brings me back to your book because there's so much that I could relate with how I speak to these women in my retreats and my courses. It felt very IFS in a sense, internal family systems in a sense, because you start the book out with all of our ages all at once. The stages of the women of us are not linear. They exist at the same time. It's very cyclical. And I was like, oh my God, this is like internal family systems where young parts of us come up in, even though I'm 37, or this other part of me comes up at different seemingly timelines, but they're all existing at the same time.
Yeah, this is actually, I just had a birthday. And I was thinking about my 8-year-old self and my 18, like at 18, I was roller skating in booty shorts, braless, and she still lives in me. And at 28, I was having my 4th child at home on the bathroom floor, like grunting it out. And at 38, I was running triathlons. And at 48, I was standing on my head for 15 minutes. And now I'm 58, and who knows? I was out in the garden yesterday, like doing weird stuff. But those parts of me never leave. They're in my self-concept. And I can look at a woman your age or an 18-year-old who's in those stages and kind of remember a little bit of that, uplift her in the stage that she's in, and also try to see her through the lens of this era. Like we can get into this a little bit about how different it is to be a woman in her 30s and the choices that you might have now versus someone 30 years ago or 60 years ago. Like no women in history have ever had these kind of choices. And simultaneously, I can feel how all of those experiences are informing who I will be at 68, 78, 88, should I be so lucky to live that long. And that this beginning to see our future self calling us to her, and that it all does live in the body. There's one thing in there that I want to circle back around to about the sort of temporal nature of happiness and elderhood. So I'm just going to make a note to come back to that. Go ahead.
Okay. And how do you, when you look at your future self, because you just brought that up, how has that, when you're saying it's calling me, what does that look like for you? Like, how do you know that that's calling you?
Well, I think about the models, like we all have internalized models of what it means to be an elder woman. And I have a few. So maybe this is a chance for listeners to reflect on their own grandmothers or the old women that they knew. I had one grandmother who at 96 was still waking up every day, putting on hard shoes, the belted dress, pinning up her hair, and like running the household. I had another grandmother who, when she was in her 70s, like basically gave up on life. Like she was no longer feeling beautiful. And so like so much was identified with that she like lost her mojo. Anyway, you could go through your own family and see. Then you can look at how the models of elderhood that are in the media, like the spunky grandmother, the bitter widow, like there are all these sort of archetypes that were fed through media that aren't very imaginative, right? So I start to think about, what is my true joy? And if I stayed active and mobile and I was 88, what would I like to be doing every day? I would still like to be creating, cooking for my friends. I'd still like to be hosting I start to picture her in my mind. And I can see her saying, don't worry about the things that you're worrying about. They're insignificant in the course of your life, because she has this inner awareness and dignity of what really matters, like where her values are. And she's telling me consistently, disentangle yourself from the values that have been imposed on you that aren't actually yours, and keep living into your truest essence every day. The essence of your soul knew what it wanted to become. Keep losing the parts that were projected onto you and become more and more of you. So I feel that beckoning all the time.
Yeah. Wow. Oof. That's so beautiful.
Well, that was fun. Thanks for tuning in, lovers. And if you want to experience more ecstasy and sexual liberation, head over to sexlovepsychedelics.com and learn about how you can join me for any one of my online or live events. And while you're there, grab my free guide on sex and psychedelics. Remember, This podcast is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Please contact your healthcare provider and local law before pursuing any of the products or psychedelics discussed. And one final note here. I make this show specifically for you. If you're loving the show, then be sure to leave me a review in iTunes or Spotify to let me know. Happy to be here and happy to serve. I'll see you next time on Sex, Love, Psychedelics.